200 convicted criminals singing Prince's most famous song behind bars. The video shouldn't have worked, but it went viral, and when Prince saw it, he made a decision that would reduce recidivism by 40%. This is the story of how music became rehabilitation, how a secret concert became a miracle, how Prince proved that nobody is beyond redemption. May 1998, Oak Park Heights, Minnesota, the state's only maximum security prison. Home to murderers, armed robbers, violent offenders, men who'd made choices they couldn't take back. Men society had decided were beyond saving. But one counselor didn't believe that. Her name was Margaret Chen. She'd been working at Oak Park Heights for 12 years, and she'd seen what happened when inmates had nothing to do but think about their crimes. Depression, violence, recidivism rates over 70%. So Margaret started a choir. Voluntary. No incentives. Just an hour twice a week where inmates could sing. Most staff thought it was pointless, dangerous, even. Putting violent criminals in a room together to sing? What could go wrong? But Margaret persisted. And slowly, men started showing up. First 5, then 10, then 30. By spring of 1998, she had a full choir of 40 men. They sang gospel, mostly old spirituals, songs about redemption and grace. Then one day, an inmate named Marcus serving life for second-degree murder, Margaret asked, "Prince, when doves cry? My daughter used to love that song." Margaret hesitated. Prince wasn't exactly traditional choir material, but she saw something in Marcus's eyes, a connection to something outside these walls. So she said yes. They practiced for weeks. These weren't trained singers. They were men who'd spent decades in cages, learning to survive, not to harmonize. But something happened when they sang that song. The walls seemed thinner, the weight lighter. Margaret recorded them on her phone, posted it to YouTube without thinking much about it. Oak Park Heights Choir, When Doves Cry. Within a week, it had 1 million views. Prince was at Paisley Park when his assistant showed him the video. "You need to see this." Prince watched 200 men in prison uniforms, standing in what looked like a cafeteria, singing his song. Their voices weren't perfect. The arrangement was simple, but there was something in their faces, a vulnerability, a hope that stopped him cold. He watched it 3 times. Then he picked up the phone. "Get me the warden of Oak Park Heights Prison." His assistant blinked. "What? You heard me? Find the warden. I want to talk to him. Today." 2 hours later, Prince was on the phone with Warden James Sullivan. "Warden, I saw the video of your inmates singing my song." Sullivan, who'd been dealing with the fallout of the viral video media requests, public criticism, inmates getting too much attention, sighed. "Mr. Nelson, I apologize if there were any copyright issues. The counselor who posted it didn't realize I don't care about copyright. I want to come there." Silence. "I'm sorry? I want to come to your prison tomorrow. I want to perform for those men." "Mr. Nelson, with all due respect, that's not how this works. We have protocols, security clearances, approval processes that take months. I'll come alone. No cameras, no press, no security detail. Just me and a guitar." Those men took the time to learn my song. The least I can do is perform it for them. Sullivan was quiet for a long moment. "You're serious?" "I don't joke about music. What time should I be there?" The next morning, Prince's car pulled up to Oak Park Heights at 9 a.m. No entourage, no publicity, just Prince in simple clothes, jeans, a purple shirt, sunglasses. Warden Sullivan met him at the gate, still not entirely convinced this was happening. "Mr. Nelson, I want to be clear about what you're walking into. These are dangerous men, violent offenders, maximum security." Prince looked at him. "They're also human beings who learned my song. That makes them my audience. Let's go." They walked through multiple security checkpoints, metal detectors, pat-downs, the works. Prince submitted to all of it without complaint. The plan was to gather the choir in the chapel, the 40 men who'd sung in the video. But word had spread. Inmates were asking if they could attend. Guards were skeptical, but Sullivan made a call. "If they want to come, let them come, but nobody knows who the performer is until he's on stage." By the time Prince walked into that chapel, 200 inmates were sitting in rows. They'd been told a special performer was coming. That's all. The room buzzed with speculation and boredom. Special performers at prisons were usually local gospel groups or motivational speakers. Nothing to get excited about. Then Prince walked out. The room went silent. Complete, absolute silence. 200 hardened criminals staring at a legend, standing in front of them with an acoustic guitar. Marcus, the inmate who'd suggested "When Doves Cry," whispered, "No way. No way that's real." Prince adjusted the microphone. "I heard you singing my song. Thought I'd return the favor." Prince started playing. Not "When Doves Cry," not the hit everyone expected. He started with "Sometimes It Snows in April," a song about loss, about grieving someone you love, about regret that sits in your chest like a stone. The chapel stayed silent. 200 men listening to every word, every note. Some had tears running down their faces. Others sat perfectly still, afraid to move, afraid to break whatever spell was happening. Prince played for 20 minutes straight. The beautiful ones. Nothing compares to you. Songs about love and pain and all the messy humanity in between. Then he stopped, looked out at the crowd. "You guys want to sing with me?" The response was immediate, overwhelming. "Yes, absolutely, please." Prince smiled. "All right, when doves cry. Let's do this together." He started the opening notes. The inmates who knew the words started singing, quietly at first, then stronger. The ones who didn't know the words hummed along. And for 4 minutes and 30 seconds, Oak Park Heights maximum security prison became a concert hall. When the song ended, nobody moved. Nobody knew what to do. Do you applaud in prison? For Prince? Finally, one man stood up, then another, then all 200. A standing ovation from men who'd forgotten how to hope. Prince gestured for them to sit. "I want to hear from you. Anyone, what's on your mind?" A hand went up. A man in his 40s, tattoos covering his arms. His voice was rough when he spoke. "We made mistakes, bad ones. We're in here because we hurt people. So why are you here? Why would you come to a place like this?" Prince set down his guitar, walked to the edge of the small stage. Because music doesn't judge. Music doesn't care what you did yesterday. It only cares if you're willing to show up today and be present. You learned my song. That tells me you're still capable of creating beauty. And if you can create beauty, you can rebuild your life. The inmate shook his head. "That's nice, but it's not reality. Society doesn't forgive. We're marked forever." "You're right," Prince said. "Society doesn't forgive easily, but music forgives. And music doesn't care about your record. It cares about your soul. So maybe the question isn't whether society will forgive you. Maybe it's whether you'll forgive yourself enough to become someone different." Have you ever been defined by your worst moment? Ever felt like one mistake erased everything else about who you are? That's where these men were. And Prince was telling them, "You're more than your mistakes. Share this story if you believe in second chances." Because what happened next in that prison proved that redemption isn't just possible, it's powerful. Prince ended up staying for 2 hours. Playing, talking, listening. He took requests, answered questions about music, about creativity, about how he'd built his career. One inmate asked about "Purple Rain," where the song came from. Prince talked about pain, about his parents' divorce, about turning personal tragedy into art. "The worst moments of my life made the best music. Your pain isn't wasted. It's material, raw material for something better." Another man asked if Prince ever felt trapped. "Every day," Prince answered honestly. "Different kind of cage, but still a cage. Fame, expectations, record labels telling me who to be. The difference is, I learned to make art inside my cage. You can do the same." Toward the end, Marcus, the inmate who'd suggested singing "When Doves Cry," stood up. "Mr. Nelson, you didn't have to come here. We're nobody. But you treated us like we matter, like we're human. Nobody's done that in years. Thank you." Prince's response was simple. You do matter, and you are human. Don't let anyone, including yourself, convince you otherwise. After the performance, Prince met with Warden Sullivan and Margaret Chen in a private office. "That choir," Prince said. "Who runs it?" "I do," Margaret answered, still somewhat in shock that Prince had just spent 2 hours with her inmates. "What resources do you have?" "Equipment? Budget?" Margaret laughed. "Almost nothing. We sing. That's it. No instruments, no recording equipment, no funding." Prince pulled out his checkbook, wrote a check, handed it to Sullivan. "This is for a music program. Real instruments, a proper space, a teacher who knows what they're doing. These men have talent. Give them the tools to use it." Sullivan looked at the check. $50,000. "Mr. Nelson, this is incredibly generous. But nothing. Music saved my life. Multiple times. It can save theirs too." Prince stood. "I want updates. How the program goes. How the men progress. And I want to hire some of them when they get out. Studio work, production assistants, whatever they're qualified for." "You're serious about that?" Margaret asked. "Completely? Talent doesn't disappear because you made a mistake. Give these men a second chance, and I'll help make sure they have somewhere to go when they leave here." The music program at Oak Park Heights launched 3 months later. Real instruments. Keyboards, guitars, drums. A professional music teacher hired through Prince's foundation. Space in the prison designated specifically for music education. Participation was voluntary. Inmates had to maintain good behavior to join, had to commit to practicing, to learning, to taking it seriously. 40 men signed up immediately. Within a year, that number doubled. They weren't just singing anymore. They were writing, composing, learning music theory and production basics. Some discovered talents they never knew they had. Marcus, who'd first suggested "When Doves Cry," learned piano, found out he had a natural ear for melody, started writing songs about his daughter, about the life he hoped to rebuild when he got out. Another inmate, James, took to the drums, used rhythm to work through decades of anger and violence. "Hitting drums is better than hitting people," he told Margaret. "First time I've felt in control of something in 20 years. Over the next 5 years, something remarkable happened." Inmates in the music program had a recidivism rate of 30% compared to 70% for the general population. They were 40% less likely to reoffend, 40% more likely to build stable lives after release. And when they did get out, 12 of them went to work at Paisley Park, just like Prince promised. Studio assistants, equipment techs, whatever they could handle. Prince hired them, trained them, gave them a shot when nobody else would. Today, 16 years after Prince walked into that prison with just a guitar, the program he started exists in 8 states. It's called the Prince Redemption Program, and it's changing how America thinks about criminal justice. The statistics are undeniable. Inmates who participate in intensive music programs have recidivism rates 40% lower than the general prison population. They're more likely to find employment after release, more likely to rebuild relationships with their families, more likely to stay clean, stay focused, stay free. But numbers don't tell the whole story. The real story is in the lives transformed, the men who discovered they were more than their worst moments, the families reunited, the communities that got back fathers, sons, brothers who'd learned how to be better. Marcus, the inmate who first suggested singing Prince's song, was released in 2003 after serving 18 years for murder. He'd learned piano in the program, written dozens of songs. When he got out, Prince hired him as a studio assistant. Marcus worked at Paisley Park for 3 years, learned production, helped on albums, reconnected with his daughter, who was 18 by then. In 2006, he started his own nonprofit using music to help at-risk youth avoid the path he'd taken. "Prince didn't just give me a job," Marcus said after Prince died. "Could mean something beyond my crime. That's the gift I'm trying to pass forward." Oh no. After seeing the success at Oak Park Heights, other states took notice. California launched a pilot program in 2005. Texas followed in 2007. By 2014, versions of the Prince Redemption Program existed in 8 states, serving over 2,000 inmates annually. The programs vary by location, but the core principle remains: music isn't just entertainment, It's therapy. It's education. It's a bridge back to humanity for people who've lost their way. Dr. Angela Rodriguez, a criminologist who studied the program, published findings that shocked the criminal justice world. Music education in prisons reduces violence, improves mental health, and creates measurable positive outcomes in rehabilitation. The Prince model should be standard, not exceptional, but funding remains a challenge. Prince had provided the initial seed money and continued supporting the program until his death. After 2016, the Prince estate took over, ensuring the programs could continue. But expansion has been slow, limited by resources and political will. If you believe rehabilitation is possible, that people can change, that second chances matter, share this story, because the Prince Redemption Program needs advocates, needs funding, needs people who believe what Prince believed. Nobody is beyond saving. Of the 12 men Prince hired from Oak Park Heights, 11 are still working in music today. 1 became a sound engineer for major labels. 3 work as production assistants. 2 teach music in schools. 1 opened a recording studio specifically for formerly incarcerated artists. The 12th died in 2010, not from violence or relapse, but from cancer. Prince paid for his treatment, visited him in hospice, made sure he knew his life had mattered. These weren't charity cases, said Susan Rogers, Prince's longtime engineer. He hired them because they had skills, because they'd worked hard, because they proved themselves. That's what made it different. He wasn't rescuing them. He was employing them. There's dignity in that. James, the inmate who'd learned drums, now teaches percussion at a Minneapolis high school. Many of his students come from difficult backgrounds: poverty, violence, instability. He tells them about Oak Park Heights, about hitting rock bottom, about the day Prince showed up and changed everything. Music saved my life, James tells his students. Not metaphorically, literally. I was violent, angry, destined to die in prison or get out and go right back. But learning drums gave me an outlet, gave me purpose. And when Prince hired me, he gave me a chance to prove I was more than my mistakes. Here's what Prince understood that most of society doesn't. Punishment alone doesn't rehabilitate. You can lock someone in a cage for decades, but if you don't give them tools to become someone different, they'll leave that cage the same person who entered it. Music was the tool Prince offered, not because it's magic, because it requires discipline, practice, vulnerability, because it forces you to confront emotions you've been burying, because it builds skills, focus, patience, collaboration that translate directly to life outside prison walls. Prince knew music could reach people that nothing else could, Margaret Chen explained. He'd experienced it himself, the way music can break through walls, both literal and emotional. He wanted to give that to people who needed it most. The Oak Park Heights program still exists today, still serving inmates, still producing miracles. The chapel where Prince performed is now dedicated in his honor. A small plaque reads, "Music Forgives, Prince, 1998. For years, Prince's visit to Oak Park Heights was a secret. He'd asked the warden not to publicize it. Didn't want media attention, didn't want credit, he just wanted to help. But in 2010, when Marcus opened his nonprofit, he told the story, with Prince's permission, and slowly, the truth spread. Other inmates shared their experiences. Staff confirmed what happened, and the world learned about a side of Prince most people never saw. He could have made that prison visit a huge publicity stunt, Warden Sullivan said in 2016. Camera crews, press releases, maximum exposure for maximum goodwill. Instead, he came alone, performed for 2 hours, wrote a check, and left. No fanfare, no credit seeking, just genuine compassion. That's the Prince his collaborators knew. The one who helped people quietly, who believed in action over announcement, who used his fame and resources to create actual change, not just appear charitable. Remember what the inmate asked Prince that day? "We made mistakes. Why are you here?" Prince's answer, "Music forgives. I don't have to," became the foundation for everything that followed. Because he was right, music doesn't care about your past. It exists in the present. It demands that you show up, be vulnerable, be honest, and if you can do that, if you can create beauty despite your history, you can rebuild your life. That philosophy drove the entire program. Not "these men need pity," but "these men need opportunity." Not "let's help the criminals," but "let's recognize the humans." It's the difference between charity and investment. Charity says, "You're broken, let me fix you." Investment says, "You have potential, let me help you develop it." Prince invested, and the returns have been extraordinary. May 1998. A viral video of prison inmates singing a Prince song. A phone call nobody expected. A secret visit that changed 200 lives. Prince walked into Oak Park Heights, maximum security prison, and proved something revolutionary. People can change. Given the right tools, the right support, the right belief in their potential, people can transform. The program he started reduced recidivism by 40%, saved taxpayers millions in incarceration costs. But more importantly, it saved lives, gave men back to their families, returned fathers to their children, created opportunities where society saw only lost causes. Today, the Prince Redemption Program serves 8 states and thousands of inmates. It proves, statistically and anecdotally, that music-based rehabilitation works, that investing in people's potential matters, that second chances aren't just compassionate, they're effective. Marcus, who first suggested singing "When Doves Cry," now runs a nonprofit, serving at-risk youth. James teaches drums to high school students. 11 of the 12 men Prince hired from prison are still working in music, still building lives, still proving that one chance can change everything. The chapel at Oak Park Heights still hosts music programs. The instruments Prince funded still get played. And every year, on the anniversary of his visit, current inmates gather to sing "When Doves Cry," honoring the man who saw past their crimes and recognized their humanity. Prince taught us that we're not defined by our worst moment, Marcus said, that we're capable of creating beauty, even after causing pain. That music doesn't judge it, just asks if you're willing to show up and be honest. That lesson saved my life, and it's saving others. Society loves to write people off. One mistake, one crime, one bad decision, and suddenly you're irredeemable, disposable, not worth investing in. Prince didn't believe that. He believed in transformation, in second chances, in the power of music to reach people that nothing else could. And he proved it. Not with words, with action, with a secret visit to a prison, with a check that funded a program, with jobs offered to men everyone else refused to hire, with belief in people who'd stopped believing in themselves. That's the real legacy. Not just the hit songs or the iconic performances, but the lives changed, the men saved, the families reunited, the proof that redemption isn't just a religious concept, it's a practical reality if you're willing to invest in it. 200 convicted criminals sang a Prince song. He heard it, he came, and he started a movement. 40% reduction in recidivism, 12 men hired, 8 states with programs, thousands of lives transformed. All because one man believed that music forgives, and that sometimes that's enough. The Prince Redemption Program needs support, needs funding, needs advocates who believe what Prince believed, that nobody is beyond saving, that everyone deserves a second chance, that music can reach places punishment never will. If this story moved you, share it. Donate to prison music programs. Advocate for rehabilitation over pure punishment. Hire people with records who've proven they've changed, because Prince isn't here to do it anymore. But his lesson remains: music forgives. And if music can forgive, maybe we can too. The chapel at Oak Park Heights still stands. The plaque still reads, "Music forgives, Prince 1998. And somewhere, 200 men who learned that music could save them are singing, still believing, still proving that redemption is real. That's the power of one visit, one check, one belief in human potential. That's the power of Prince.